Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to give you a full update on the tropics as it's really beginning to become active, a severe outlook, and a look at the current alerts across the US. So yeah, let's get right into it. So sorry I wasn't able to post yesterday, I was down at the beach with my cousin, just took a little break day, but we are back and I will be back with some continuous posting for the next few weeks. So yeah, let's get right into it. So starting off with the alerts once again, heat alerts right in the central U.S., south central, and central U.S., and some areas of the Midwest, technically in Illinois. Many just heat advisories and excessive heat warnings, so please be careful and stay hydrated and cool if you're outside over here in the central U.S. The West continues with some fire advisories as we have lots of fires over here in California. We had the Park Fire. Overall, just very uh, fire, prone conditions. So please be careful of the fires, especially over here in California, even into Oregon, Washington, Idaho, even a couple of small ones in Nevada. But overall, just be careful, especially Montana, Wyoming, and even a threat in Utah and Idaho once again. So again, mainly just fires and dense fog advisories. Um, and that could be kind of caused from the smoke, but mainly probably just the regular dense fog. And then again, heat advisories in the central U.S., while the eastern U.S. stays relatively quiet with just a couple of flood warnings in the Carolinas and just some dense fog advisories in Pennsylvania. Now getting on to the severe outlook. Currently have the day one outlook right now. It's a small risk right now. We have a marginal risk in some populated areas for DC, or DC is actually right out of it, but Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, etc. So overall, just a very populated area. Um, Talking about the others, sorry about that. Slight risk for areas of the Midwest and slight risk for the Dakotas. Main threats, tornado is actually a 5% risk right over here in the Midwest, southern Midwest, so please be careful. Some brief spin-ups are definitely possible. Wind is a main threat over here in the Dakotas, and then hail is also a main threat over here in the Dakotas. So overall, going to be a little bit of an active severe weather day, so please keep an eye out. Day two, another slight risk up for areas of the Midwest such as Illinois, Missouri, and Iowa. Tornado 2%, wind 15%, and hail 5%. So another risk to definitely watch out for and be aware of. Lastly, day three, also have a slight risk for some of the same areas, mainly just moved up north and west for Iowa, Minnesota, and South Dakota, and a little area of Nebraska. Mainly probably gonna be a wind, hail threat, maybe even a brief spin up or two. And then just taking a look at day 4 through 8, we see going on. We don't really see anything in development, so we'll see if this changes. But for now, looks pretty quiet. Now getting into the tropics, the main area to watch, and we've recently had this area of disturbed weather, area of interest, develop, and it's expected to move kind of west-northwest into the northern areas of the northern Caribbean, or not really the Caribbean, but overall just north of many of the major islands such as Dominican Republic, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and that could actually impact the Bahamas. So please be careful. Florida also needs to keep an eye out. Now there's still lots of uncertainty. There's an insane amount of uncertainty. Euro has it kind of turning like that. Same with Canadian. GFS tries to sneak it in here. Same with the icons. Overall, just lots of disagreement. So we'll have to see what happens. But some slow development is definitely possible as this kind of moves slowly towards the west and northwest. A 50% in the next 7 days. Eastern Pacific, very active. A code red over here for disturbance 1, 80% next 7 days, 30% next 48 hours, 40% next 7 days, 0 in the next 48 hours for disturbance 3, and then going right over to disturbance 2, 30% in the next 7 days. So slow development with disturbance 2, some slow development with disturbance 3, but I definitely expect disturbance 1 to really ramp up and we could see a system forming very soon. And lastly, the Central Pacific, nothing really, but we'll see if any of these systems in the Eastern Pacific sneaks into the Central Pacific. So that's your National Hurricane Outlook from the National Hurricane Center, but we're actually going to dive a little more into the tropics. first I really want to talk about this one area. Um, it's off the screen right here, but you can already see some of the circulation over here. This rotation velocity over here. Area of interest is kind of dubbed right around here, and again, it's gonna kind of be moving in this general direction, west northwest. Now, I just want to show you the uncertainty and certain solutions with these models. Starting out with the GFS, we are going to continue this, and it's very weak, very hard to see, but it's right here. You can see a little bit of a bump right here, definitely some moisture. So it is a little difficult to see, but we continue this. And GFS, it does actually have it going into the Gulf right here, but I mean, you can see it's very, very weak. Okay, it is not strong at all. And then you see it try to get its act together a little more right as it's about to kind of go into the Gulf Coast. You see some heavier pockets and a little more consolidation, but overall it just kind of gets too late. But you actually yeah, right here, you do see it right here, right off the coast of kind of Georgia, or sorry, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. But overall, main thing is you don't even see a low that pops off. Overall, I mean, you get one right there, kind of just stays stationary. And oh yeah, that is kind of interesting. Stays stationary, but then eventually goes in as a probably weak, maybe a depression, very weak tropical storm. So overall, GFS just keeps it weak and therefore continues to head west-northwest and gets into the Gulf because of a weak storm that's more susceptible, sorry, to those stronger steering currents. So overall, it feels it more. However, going into the European, we're gonna take a look over here. We have right here's the system, right here, and we see that it continues to trek west northwest. So overall, the same track. However, it does stay a little stronger, and instead of sneaking into the Gulf, since it's a little stronger, and since it feels more of that ridge, kind of starts to, or that weakness, because we got a ridge right here and a little bit of a ridging here, but we have a weakness right here, so it's kind of can squeeze through there, and so you see that kind of squeezing through. This is at this point very a weak tropical depression, maybe a tropical storm, but you see that kind of curls and kind of rides the coast before heading out to sea, and you'll see that right here. It does actually kind of get really close, maybe even landfalling right along the coast of North Carolina as a weak tropical storm, maybe. And it actually does strengthen a little, but then it just heads off to sea. But it does kind of give some conditions along the coast right here. Now that's the Euro, different outcome. We'll take a look at the more not as node models, but we'll take a look at the Icon. Icon almost has a little bit of both. It sneaks it kind of into the Gulf, but instead of actually continuing to go west and getting closer to the actual Gulf Coast, kind of hugs the Florida coast, and then it actually kind of curls out like that. I think that's what Isaias, which was another system similar to this, not similar, but kind of like some of the scenarios look similar. It kind of went, yeah, like along the Gulf Coast, and then it actually kind of went right over the Florida. Well, it kind of went along the Florida coast, right over Florida after impacting, and then kind of rode the southeast coast. Now, Icon doesn't go 240 hours out, but it does have kind of a European GFS mixed solution, or comes over and kind of does something like that. So that's another solution we can also watch out for. One more model I'll do is the Canadian, and we'll back this up a little. Also stays very weak. It's right here, but I'm going to continue this. And you do see that it actually kind of takes more of the Europeans track, kind of goes like this, and then you see it kind of curling out to sea, or riding along the coast first, as you can see, and it kind of strengthens a little before heading out to sea. So European CMC have similar solutions. GFS, Icon have similar solutions, except the Icon is kind of has a little mix of both the GFS and Euro. So just showing some solutions on what is possible. Now I do want to give my attention to the Eastern Pacific. Want to talk to you guys over there. So just taking a look over here, we have our first disturbance, Disturbance 1, the one that has the highest amount of chance of development right here. We have Disturbance 3 over here, or sorry, Disturbance 2 over here, and Disturbance 3 back here. So just gonna circle those so you guys know what happens. And there you have it. I mean, you see Disturbance, I think this is Disturbance 3 or 2. Pretty sure it's Disturbance 3. Or sorry, Disturbance 2. it stays weak. I mean, you see, it could get into a depression, maybe a storm, but it stays weak. However, you see the disturbance one gets really strong. I mean, it gets to a hurricane, maybe even trying to near major hurricane status, and then you see another hurricane with that next disturbance, behind that. So we continue this on, and disturbance three kind of just fizzles out. This little area of interest, it kind of just fizzles out. I mean, it's still there, but doesn't really get going. You see disturbance one starting to weaken and heading off. Um, so that's that. But you see disturbance, the next disturbance right behind it, that next area of interest. And I mean, it becomes really strong. This is major hurricane by now. Gets all the way down to 924 millibars. Remember, the lower the millibar, stronger the storm. But luckily, it heads out to sea and doesn't really affect anyone. And then you see even more systems form. You got 1, 2, and 3 back here. So another few systems to watch. And again, that does mean we still got to keep an eye out on the Pacific coasts of Mexico, Baja California, even California. So overall, just watching out that Eastern Pacific as it's very active currently. So there's your video. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry I was stuttering a little bit. Tried my best to give you guys the information as quick as possible, and I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.